Thank you so much for your willingness to help with sports camp next week. We are so excited. Hopefully, you have those dates marked off on your calendar, and hopefully, this isn't a surprise to you. But just in case you didn't know, sports camp is next week. We start on Monday. It's Monday through Thursday, June 17th through the 20th. And the sports camp hours are 5:30 to 8:30 for the campers in the evenings. Later on, we'll talk about your times. I wanted to make sure that everybody understands why we're doing sports camp. We're going to tell you everything that you need to know about logistics and all of that stuff, but the most important part is our purpose of sports camp, because we always want to keep coming back to that purpose. The purpose of sports camp is to build positive relationships with the kids here, with the kids in our surrounding community, with all of these kids that are coming to us. We want to build those positive relationships. We also want to have fun with sports. This is a great activity for kids, for our Bamel kids and for our local community kids. This is just a great time to have fun with sports, to teach them new skills. We want to tell kids about Jesus. You'd be surprised, because there are kids at sports camp every year who have never heard the gospel. So be in prayer about those opportunities, and remember that that is one of our purposes. And then our last purpose is to plant the seed of God's love in these kids' heart. We may not see where it goes within this 1 week, but we've at least planted that seed, and hopefully it will continue to grow as the child grows.
The theme this year for sports camp is going beyond the goal. Each day we'll learn a new concept to help us learn to what it's like to go beyond the goal. Day 1, we're going to talk about teamwork. Our key points for day 1 are: on a good team, everyone knows their role. And number 2, God knows exactly what role you are supposed to play. The Bible story for day 1 will be Nehemiah builds a wall, Nehemiah 1 through 6. On day 2, we're going to be talking about perseverance. Our first key point for this day is imagine the end result. Our second key point for the day is God will always be there, even when circumstance changes. Our Bible story for day 2 is Noah builds an ark, Genesis 6 and 7. For day 3, our theme will be respect. Our 2 key points will be treat others with respect, whether you are in the first place or the last place. Our second key point for day 3 is God treats everyone with respect. The Bible story for day 3 is Jesus and his disciples, from Mark 10:35 through 45. Day 4, our last day, the theme will be sacrifice. Our 2 key points will be sacrifice always costs someone something. And our second key point will be Jesus gave up everything for us. And our Bible story for this day will be Jesus sacrifices himself, Philippians 2:5 through 8.
Some basic logistics about sports camp that everyone needs to know. When you should arrive. You need to be here at 4:45 each day, Monday through Thursday, unless your registration. Registration on day 1, please be there at 4:30. So everyone else, 4:45 every day. We have a coaches meeting at 5. So if you're a head coach, assistant coach, or junior coach, you need to be in that meeting at 5. When you arrive, you'll go to the volunteer check-in room and make sure you sign yourself in. We need to know that you're there to make sure that we've got all of our spots covered. What you should wear. Wear your sports camp shirt every night. I know that that does involve extra laundry, and if you're not able to, we certainly understand, but it makes our volunteers stand out. So as often as you can wear that sports camp shirt, please do. If you don't have a sports camp shirt or you're not able to wear it one night, make sure you're wearing clothing that's appropriate for the sport that you are working in. Park. Whenever you arrive, you need to park either in the main lot, or the best idea is for you to pull around the back of the teen center and park on that lane that faces the bayou or the drainage ditch. It's on the back of the teen center. There's a lot of parking spots there. There's also parking spots available on the side of the building where the old Manna Center is and the new Manna Center is. If you could park somewhere over there, it would be helpful. Leave the teen center parking lot open for all the parents who are coming to drop off their kids. Your purses and belongings. You can put purses and belongings in the stairwell of the teen center. It's behind the pool tables. I will lock that at 5 o'clock. So make sure you get your things in there by 5 o'clock, and I'll have a key to it if you need to get your things out. Schedule. You'll have a copy of the schedule on the back of your name tag, but just a basic breakdown of how we do our night. We're going to start off all together in the Rock for opening rally, and then the kids are going to split into their sports session, their sports for sports session 1. After sports session 1, they'll stay in their areas and they'll do coaches huddle, where some of our assistant coaches and junior coaches will sit down with a group of kids and talk through some devotional questions. After the coaches huddle and water break, they'll get right into sports session 2. After their second sports session, everyone will come together on the pavilion for snack. This includes Team 45. Then our older kids, not including Team 45, will go into the Teen Center Cafe to do Bible time together. After Bible time, the older kids will all go back out to their sport area for our last sports session of the night. After their last sports session, everyone comes together, including Team 45, for the closing rally in the Rock. The locations for each of these sports. Team 45 will be located in the ministry building. Soccer and football and baseball will all be on the fields outside. Football, if you've helped in the past, just keep in mind that we do have the new community garden there, so you'll have to be careful not to mess it up, please. You'll have to move your area maybe a little bit closer to where soccer and baseball are, but there's plenty of space out there for everyone. Basketball will be in the main building gym, volleyball will be on the Teen Center Pavilion, and cheer will be in the Rock. Registration, everyone needs to know this. Everyone needs to know how we handle the kids' registration and what our security is like. So each kid should have a name tag with their name and their sport, and they should also have a wristband. Their wristband and name tag will be the color of their sport. Each sport has a different color. On the first day, everyone comes to pick up their wristband. The parents walk their children into the Rock and then will sign their kids in at their sport table. Each sport has a table with a sign in and sign out sheet. Head coaches, you are responsible for that sign in and sign out sheet. Once the parents have signed them in, the child enters the sport area inside the Rock. And after sports camp, at the very end, the parents will come and sign their child out from that same table. Everyone inside the Rock stays inside the sport areas, and the tables surround those sport areas. And so the parents come to the outside of the tables to sign their kids in and to sign their kids out. Everyone has a wristband with a number on it, and here's what that number means. Each family is assigned a number. All the kids from that family have that number written on their wristband, and the parent from that family has a family tag with that number written as well. And the reason why that's important is because when we're leaving at the end of the night, everyone's walking out. We want to make sure that we don't lose any kids. And so as people are walking out, we have volunteers who are going to be checking the kids' wristbands and making sure that they match to the family tag. So when these kids are walking out, whoever is walking out with them needs to have that matching family tag, that those people belong together. Coaches don't need to be checking that at the tables. It's only our security volunteers at the end of the night who are standing at the doors exiting to the outside. Any kids that have a red wristband means they do have an allergy, so just make sure you're looking for that when it comes to snack time. Specific job assignments we're going to talk about next. Registration. Registration volunteers, make sure that you are there at 4:30 on Monday, and then you can be there at 4:45 the rest of the days. You'll check in with Cheryl. She's the one who's going to be telling you exactly what to do, but just to give you some idea, on the first day, everyone is going to be picking up a family packet. So they're checking in by family, and it's according to, it's alphabetically by their last name is how everything is separated out. When they pick up their family packet from their alphabet table, inside their packet will be the wristbands for each one of their children, and the name tags for their kids as well. On the first day, we're also dealing with some of the parents who have not turned in their medical release form yet. So Samantha and Cheryl should have those printed out on the kids we still need them for, and you just have to quickly make sure the parent signs it and turns it back in. The parents will then walk their kids into the Rock and sign them in on the check-in sheet that's located on each sport table. After that big rush is done and we've got sports camp started, you stick around for a little bit just to make sure there are people there to greet the latecomers and people who can walk them to wherever their sport is, and make sure that they have the name tags and the wristbands that they need. Cheryl, again, will give you more specific instructions once you get there, but that gives you a rough idea, at least for the first couple of days. Do remember when I talked about the family tag and the kids' wristbands? Every family gets a parent pickup tag with a number on it that should match the numbers of all their kids' wristbands. Encourage the people on that first day when you're giving them their family packet to take a picture of their parent pickup tag, because that way if they lose it or if someone else is picking them up, all they have to do is text that person the picture of their parent pickup tag, and that way we've got verification that that is indeed the person who's supposed to be picking these kids up. I believe that's it for registration, but if you've got questions, you can definitely direct those to Cheryl or Samantha Mann. Coaches, here is what you need to do. This is for all coaches. That's head coaches, assistant coaches, and junior coaches. In each sport, the head coach is in charge and will tell all of the other coaches what they need to be doing. While you're there, you need to focus on building relationships. Sit with the kids, play and interact with them, talk with them. Use these opportunities that God has given you. For the outdoor sports, there are water coolers outside. Make sure that the kids are throwing away their trash, and be careful of throwing too much water around on the field, as it does tend to attract ants. Next thing, look out for ants. I did go out and treat the field this morning and I didn't see that many piles. Hopefully we should get lucky this year, but do be on the lookout, and if you do see an ant pile, let me know so I can go out and treat it, but also cover it with a cone so kids aren't stepping in it. And do try and find ways to stay cool. For about that first hour of sports camp until the sun goes behind the trees, it does get pretty hot. So make sure you're giving the kids breaks, look for bits of shade where you can get it, and encourage them to drink plenty of water. Next thing, walk campers to the nurse or the bathroom. Don't ever send them by themselves. Campers should never be alone. Junior coaches are great people to do this. They can help. Be sensitive to any camper injury. I do understand that some of them can be a little dramatic and it might be easy to write it off, but remember that these aren't our kids, and so if they're telling you something hurts, you do need to take it seriously, even if you think they might be faking it. Remember, these aren't our kids and we don't know their history. Never, I've got it underlined on my paper here, never be alone with a camper, and always make sure that you are in clear view of others. If you're talking to a camper one-on-one, that's fine, but you should always be where other people can see. This is for their protection, but also for your own. Discipline. If that ever should arise where you need to discipline a camper, keep this in mind. Discipline is up to the head coach, not you. Don't ever threaten. No physical discipline of any kind. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but also feel like that needs to be included. Absolutely no physical discipline. Remember that we only have these kids for 4 days. And so when you're having trouble with a camper, ask yourself, what is the most loving way that I can respond in this situation? We're not trying to train these kids for the rest of their lives. We're not their parents. We're not even their teachers who will have them all school year. We have them for 4 days. So remember to be patient, be loving, and be kind. And if something comes up that you really just can't handle, if the problem escalates, bring them to the teen center. And again, make sure that you are escorting them there, and make sure you notify me, Tabitha, or security, or both. Make sure that when you're with the campers and during sports camp time, stay off of your cell phones. So when we get together for big group time, that's not your time to sit on the edges and get on your phones. The kids notice that. So make sure that you are engaged with them the entire time, especially in that large group time. Coach's huddle is part of our schedule, and let me explain that. When it comes to coach's huddle time, each assistant coach and junior coach needs to take a group of anywhere from 3 to 6 kids. It just depends on how many kids are in your sport and how many assistant and junior coaches you've got. But divide them up amongst you. Have your group go get some water, and you'll sit down with them. And each day there will be a devotional guide that you're going to talk through with them. Each day there's going to be a personal story of your own that you're going to share with them and how it relates to the theme that we are talking about that day. I'll email you a copy of all of the devotionals so that you can start thinking about what you want to say to them in advance. But we'll also have copies of that available in the volunteer check-in room each day. Just remember, this is your time to connect one-on-one with the kids. Head coaches, this is your time to kind of step back. Make sure all the kids are covered and they're all in a group with one of your volunteer coaches, but this is your time to kind of step back and let those assistant and junior coaches make those connections. Bible time. During Bible time, we're going to try and do this in the cafe this year instead of in the Rock. There are chairs in the cafe. When it's time to come in from snack, make sure they throw away all their trash, and we're going inside into the cafe, into the chairs. Encourage the kids to go all the way to the edge and fill in every single chair, because we will just fit inside the cafe, but we don't have room for them to be skipping a bunch of chairs or not going all the way to the edge. Amy Owens will lead Bible time, and she's going to do the Bible stories in such a dynamic way that will really engage those kids. But something that you coaches need to know is when we do Bible time, Amy is going to dismiss you back to your sport areas. And before you start your next sports session, you'll have a connect activity that had to do with what Amy was talking about in Bible time. So Bible time kind of continues in your sport area, and once you finish that, then you'll start with your sports session 3. The connect activity that you're going to be working on are these medals. So all of our 6 to 11-year-olds, all of our older kids, will be given these gold medals. Everybody has a gold medal, and the lanyard on it will be white. And each day when they leave Bible time and go to their sport areas, you'll have a ribbon for each child. It's actually made of felt, but every kid gets a piece of felt and a Sharpie. Get back into your huddle groups the way that you did your coaches huddle. Get back into your small groups. And coaches, you'll have the kids write the key word on that piece of felt, and then they're going to tie it onto their gold medal. So by the end of the 4 days, they will have their gold medal and 4 different ribbons with 4 different key words written on them tied to the lanyard of that medal. Okay, one last thing for coaches, the sign in and sign out. The security is very important, and it is not just up to me. It is up to all of us. So when the kids arrive, they are signed in at their sport table. At that point, they should come inside their sport area in the Rock and not be running around everywhere else. They are inside that group of tables once they are signed in. Then at the end of the night, this is what's really important for all of our coaches, because it gets kind of crazy. There's a lot of bodies inside the Rock, and it's very easy to get someone, to lose someone. So make sure that your eyes are everywhere and that you are paying attention. At the end of the night, parents will sign out their kids at the sport table. Head coaches, you need to be standing at the sport table helping those parents get signed out and sending the kids with their parents. All the kids should stay inside the group of tables, inside the Rock, inside their sport area, until their parent has signed them out. So we don't need to start sending kids out, sending kids away. Nobody needs to be running around for any reason. And lastly, super important, you are not finished until all of the campers from your sport have been picked up. So make sure, especially junior coaches, that you don't just check out once our last song finishes. You are still responsible for those kids until you have handed every last one over to their parents. We will get to a certain point in the night where the only kids left inside are kids of our volunteers. And at that point, you can start taking their kids to them, and that's okay. But until that point, all the kids stay inside their sport area, and you stay until the very end, until your very last camper has been signed out.
And go.
Since each kid's lanyard for their medal is white, on that first night, you do need to make sure that they write their name on it. And at the end of each Bible time activity, after they have written the keyword on that piece of felt and tied it on that lanyard, then you're going to collect it, not send it home. So we'll keep those Bible time medals until the very last night, and then we'll send it home after Bible time on the very last night when they've got all 4 of their pieces of felt tied around their lanyard to their gold medal. Team 45, just FYI, your Team 45 kids are going to get another medal. They're a different medal. So the tying on of the felt is only for the older kids. Our 4 and 5-year-olds are going to get their Team 45 medal at the end of the last night. So they don't need to worry about that. Really quickly, we're almost done with coach's stuff. Snack plan from Jimmy Sue. She says teams should come at snack time. Since volleyball is using the area where we serve snack, we only have a limited time frame to prepare for you. Find the snack person assigned to your sport. There will be a cart with your sport name on it. Have a seat near the cart. Campers should not serve themselves. The snacks on the cart are for campers only. Coaches and junior coaches' snacks will be provided at the teen center window once all the campers have been served and are seated. The team snack person will be your runner and is responsible for how many snacks and drinks are distributed to your team. There should be no coaches coming up to the window for additional camper snacks or drinks. We are limited to the number of cups and snack trays. So if a camper wants a refill of lemonade or water, they must hold on to their cup. There will be no snack refills. Leftover fruit will be available once all the coaches have been served. Make sure you're looking for red wristbands. These are the kids with allergies. If a kid has a specific allergy requiring a specific snack, then Jimmy Sue will have a special snack with that child's name on it. So that's it for coaches.
Now it's time to talk about the security. Everyone assigned to security needs to make sure they're keeping an eye on the kids and the volunteers. We need y'all to keep a special eye out on the cars. A purse was stolen a few years ago and we don't want that to happen again. You may be driving around on a golf cart and you need to keep an eye out for outsiders, anyone not wearing a name tag. At the end of the night, we need y'all at y'all's exit doors that y'all have been assigned to. Exit doors outside of the rock will be handing out the sports flash and telling them to bring back the part that they fill out. The exit to outside doors, you need to make sure you're checking all your kids' wristbands and the number to the parent tag. You need to check every single kid. Snack volunteers, meet Jimmy Sue at 5:45 every single day of sports camp in the ministry building kitchen. She will let you know more about what to do.
Miscellaneous info that everybody needs to know, just to tack on to the end there. We do have a memory verse, and the kids are challenged to say their memory verse to earn a pin. They need to say their memory verses for their head coaches. Here's the memory verse. Hopefully I've memorized it myself. It is 1 Corinthians 9:24 and 25. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get that prize. Everyone who competes goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. We do it to get a crown that will last forever. 1 Corinthians 9:24 and 25. That's our memory verse, and we're encouraging the kids to earn those pins. But remember, they say it for their head coach to earn their pin. We do have a registered nurse, so if there's any injuries or bumps or bug bites or things like that that happen, make sure that you're taking kids to the nurse. The nurse will be located inside the teen center, and there's a big sign that says nurse's station. Your own kids. So if your own kids are participating in sports camp, or if you're dropping them off in the nursery for childcare so that you can volunteer at sports camp, make sure that you drop off in the nursery before you're supposed to come to the teen center. And for your own kids that are participating, you can drop your own kids off inside the first classroom in the teen center. We'll have some volunteers in there to just stay with the kids of the volunteers until it's time to bring them out to the rock, and they'll make sure they take them to the correct sport areas. That will free you up to get to the coaches meeting at 5 o'clock, or if you're working registration, make sure you're at those registration tables. We want to make it easy on you by making sure your kids are taken care of. That beginning time when you're dropping your kids off, that's a great time to maybe pack a dinner for them to eat. That's what a lot of the kids do, is they eat during that time. Taking pictures. Please take pictures all week long. We love to see the pictures, but there are some rules. Do not post them to your personal Facebook page unless it's a generic picture where you can't make out kids' faces. If it is a specific picture with kids' faces, you can't post it to your personal page, but you can post those pictures to the BAML Facebook group, because that is a closed and private group. So that's a great place to upload those pictures. And of course, if they are your own children, then feel free to post on your personal page all you want. Sports flashes. This will happen at the end of each night. The kids will receive a sports flash, which looks like this, on their way out, and they are encouraged to bring that back the very next day. Each night we'll do a drawing for prizes, and we'll draw that out of the kids who have brought these back and hand out some prizes at the end of each night. We are doing a program called Change for Change. We're encouraging campers to bring in their spare change each night. We're doing a boys versus girls to see who can bring in the most. That change is going to Uncharted Waters Sports Ministries. And the reason why we're raising that change is to buy sports equipment bags that will send groups of volunteers to third world countries and urban locations within the United States to put on sports camps where there might be people who can't afford sports camps, but this is a great way for them to teach these kids the gospel. So what we're helping to do is to fund the purchase of those sports supplies and help to fund those missionaries who are going out and actually putting the sports camps on. So we'll challenge the kids in that way to bring in their extra change. On the last night, that's going to be just a little different. I'll email you that before we hit the last night, but on the last night, during your last sports session, we're encouraging all the parents to come up to do to watch the coaches versus campers match. So your last sports session on the last night should be a match between, or a game between the volunteers and the campers, and we're inviting the parents to come join us for that so that they can see a little bit about what their kids have been doing all week, and they'll join us for the ending session as well. And at the closing session, cheer, we'll get to get on stage and perform their cheers and their dance that they've been working on, and Team 45 will get on stage and perform the song that they have been working on. I know this was a very long video, and I'm sure there's 5,000 other things that we didn't mention, but hopefully this will equip you a little bit and have you ready to jump in to sports camp on Monday. We'll see you Monday. Email me with any questions that you've got.